you would like to know where to invest money aside from investing in yourself. What should you learn before diving in?
Well, before I answer this, I'll say this is not investment advice, but it's advice on how to do investments. Yeah. So I've had a pretty good record on invest. So I think you're saying investing yourself is the best, because there's no way it goes into waste, right? You can always use that knowledge. You become better as a person. Yeah, it's always good. And when it comes to investing money in general, where do you even start? So a few things. I like to invest in where the future world is going, right? So usually high tech, usually cryptocurrency, but I'm a relatively conservative person when it comes to these risky. And first of all, I think high tech is interesting and useful. Like when I look at things like commodities, plastic, it's like it's always the same. It goes up, it goes down, and has a little better, a little worse. Like to me, that's gambling, because I really don't know what's going on, and maybe just I suck at that. But the future trends, that's like so clear, right? Oh, the future, more people will use e-commerce than less people, right? So easy to see that. Oh, more people will be on the social web than less, right? We are where we are today because of technology innovations, right? The industrial revolution, like everything is because of technology. Where like the car is invented, now life changed, like all these stuff. We're on a computer right now. We do everything on a computer now. You know, it's so I think that's really easy to see. And so I think if you invest in one thing, invest in growth and progress of humanity. I think that's also a very, very good bet. I think unless humanity has war and destroys its own progress, it will always progress, and it's growing in an exponential speed. So that's number one. That's the principle. Like invest in the progress of humanity, which is technology, and even a traditional company like plastic. I think plastic, if it's not just like, oh yeah, we're doing a little better, it's 3% more a year, 5% because we found a good business deal. It's also technological advancements. Oh, we found a new way, a new technological way to make plastic, or cheaper chemical, right? It's all just technology. So, and of course, technology we understand better. They're usually consumer-oriented digital ones. And I'll give an example. So, right when COVID was hitting, I bought a bunch of Zoom stock, and I had 4 criterias. Number one, what has product superiority? And maybe I'm more sensitive, or I think people in OP should be able to detect that too. What actually cares about these 8 cores that motivate people? I noticed Tesla cars have product superiority before, so I invested in Tesla in 2014. I think I won in 2012, but at that time I didn't have an investment account. I didn't know how to do it, so that friction stopped me. But then I did in 2014, 15, and so and it's just small details, like when you drive your Tesla into the garage, it'll notice the garage, it'll like suddenly fold its mirrors. When you sit on the Tesla car, your phone is immediately connected to you on Bluetooth, and it'll say, hey, your next meeting on your calendar is this cafe. Do you want to go there? You say yes, and it reroutes you there. It routes you there, right? Whereas I've never been on the super high-end cars like Lamborghinis. I was on a Porsche sport car. I really don't like it. It's like sitting so low. It's hard to press like do anything, or getting out, getting in. My knees have to work harder. But Porsche, Lexus, all the cars that have been luxury cars, the navigation kind of sucks. I think most people I know, they just use their phones while they're on the car. But Tesla just press a button. So it considers your user experience, not just technology, not just function focus. And I've been a consultant for Porsche and Volkswagen. They don't get it really. Like they just think, oh, because Tesla's electric, so we should just, if we do electric, it's the same. Zoom has the same thing. I noticed at the time, Zoom has product superiority because, now let me first go to the 4 criteria. So number one is, what is product superiority? Number 2 is, because of COVID, if everyone is sick or quarantined, what could be successful, right? The third one is, okay, because of COVID, if everyone is poor, no one has jobs anymore, and companies are failing, what could be successful? And number 4, what's the inevitable future? Like, what 20 years later, how are humans living their lives? And then Zoom was the one that had the one company that had all four checked because it had product superiority and had little things like, sometimes you share your screen and then your spouse sends you a text message or whatever, and then it pops in hey, don't forget to do this, honey. And it's really embarrassing because you're in front of clients or you're like, your coworker's like, oh, that client is so annoying, they never pay on time, right? It's just all embarrassing, right? And so Zoom at the time, I don't know if others caught up on it or not. Zoom, but when you click share screen, it'll automatically turn your computer on do not disturb mode. So you won't see these messages anymore. Like just these things show product superiority, which means shows cultural superiority. Like they have the culture to make these decisions because usually, especially big companies, they do the things that absolutely they must do. And, 3 months of approval process and everyone says yes. And it's usually the big things, but the small things are left alone. So Zoom has that. If everyone is sick or quarantined, they need to be on like internet conversations more, right? So they do that. So they need Zoom. If everyone's poor, then they're not, and companies don't have money, then they need they can't fly people as much. They don't do office space anymore. So they're like, hey, back in COVID times when everyone's quarantined, the Zoom worked really well. Like, let's keep doing that. Why fly people, right? Why have offices? And then for this, people communicate online. So Zoom, I invested a lot at the time, but I'm also very conservative in the sense that I kind of like to exit when it makes decent money. And I joke around, it's like, hey, I'm happy to safely double my money every year. Which is kind of funny because usually doubling every year is massive. But the things I like to invest are the things that, hey, if it goes well, it could go up by 3 to 8 times, which is a lot of time it does. For crypto, it's the same thing. And I'll tell you, for crypto, I have a very interesting system. First of all, you have to believe that you have to have an idea of what that inevitable future is, right? If you're wrong on that, then you have no play. Like, and people do say, hey, look, technology doesn't always pan out. Look at Yahoo, right? It used to be so amazing and then it crashed. But I want to say that, hey, before Yahoo start crash, there was a whole year or more, like all these signals that say that they're not going to do as well anymore. Like Google was coming up, everyone needs back to product superiority. Google was better. People wanted to use Google. And so there's so many signals that said, hey, Yahoo is probably not a good bet at one point. So you don't believe it's the inevitable future. You stop betting on it. When it comes to cryptocurrency, I believe that's an inevitable future. I believe in the 10 years later, more people use it. It'll be more in demand. But you got to ride the waves, right? Because it's going to go up, it's going to crash. So oftentimes what I do is when it drops, I tell some of my friends, okay, buy 20%. What that means is if you plan to put in $1,000, when it drops from like $60,000 to $52,000, buy $200 from out of your 1,000. And then if it drops again to, 45, then buy another, which this means that you plan for it to drop at least 5 times. If it drops below 5 times, so it's like now it's $10,000, then you're in a bad shape, right? But it's like playing poker. You never want to put money in if you can't follow.